Jonathan, you are at the forefront of this new trend, and you are the first company ever to turn a smartphone into a clinical-grade scanner. You already won European approval for your first product, which is, get this, smartphone-enabled urinalysis. How on earth does that work?
So first let's start with the enabling technology, right? So as you said, we're the first company to transform an embedded smartphone camera into a clinical grade scanner, gone through the clinical trials in Europe. And that entailed sort of a 4-year journey where we actually started off by asking ourselves one important question. And to your point, did popular culture around smartphones already generate the kind of economics we need to turn the smartphone camera into clinical grade? And when we analyzed that, what we saw, and that's something we refer to in the company as Kardashianomics, right? We saw the economics of, the Kim Kardashian sort of popular movement that 2 years ago was already 2 billion pictures uploaded every day on WhatsApp alone. Today it's 4.5 billion pictures every day.
It's the selfienomics.
Exactly, the selfienomics, the Kardashianomics. We looked at it and said, this is a powerful trend in healthcare. So while we have CRISPR and we have big data, and we have big bets and moonshots, why can't startups actually sort of identify that, match it with a clinical need? Urinalysis 200 million times a year in the US alone. Chronic kidney disease, diabetics, people who we really want to change their lives for the better. And then from a business opportunity, healthcare in the US alone is almost a $3 trillion opportunity. So there's room for other companies to sort of go straight to the middle and attack a 200 billion, market share of that. But we said, if you can peel off simply urinalysis from that, within 3 to 4 years, with the right, capital management, you're looking at a $6 to $8 billion market just peeling off from the big industry. So that's our vision. That's where we started.
So Jonathan, it all sounds really promising, but there are some limitations. I'm thinking about the camera resolution on your smartphone. I'm thinking about bandwidth with which you load up your photos. I'm thinking about the storage on your smartphone or in the cloud. Bill, how do you deal with this?
What we're seeing in all the encounters that we're having is we have the big data solutions. We have the enterprise systems. But these young, innovative, new thinking companies are constantly going to evolve with new applications. So what we want to do is be the platform that enables all these innovations to build on top. And then we form partnerships where we all work for the common good of one purpose, and that is the patient. And if we can all do that, then we fundamentally change the game. Now, I'll give you an example on the cloud. Why is it that we couldn't take a Social Security number, put it in a private, secure cloud, and then, with your authorization, of course, completely protect your data and then share your data across any domain, not only in one country, but perhaps all countries? So the biggest challenge right now with healthcare is data, knowledge sharing, and collaboration. And I know firsthand that the medical professionals are unbelievable. And it's kind of wild to see voice and text be the two most used applications, and yet there is no electronic medical record system that actually respects that. That information doesn't even actually make it into the record. The other thing I wanted to point out, I'm on the board of a company called Under Armour, and Under Armour makes performance-inspired fashion, shirts, and shoes. But what you're seeing now is embeddables and wearables, and the human connecting to the device and to communities. Like, I map my fitness, I map my run, I watch what I'm eating. Now, what is this going to do? I think this is going to be on the front end of the healthcare process, where we can prevent people from getting sick and monitor everything in real time. So, for example, we're looking at that ecosystem. The ecosystem we're building together with the young startups. And we're looking at a way to make sure that this precision medicine can also be waged with insurance companies and healthcare companies. Again, the patient's in command.
There are some other challenges for some of these wearables and precision medicine, like cybersecurity, with the rise of cyber attacks. How do you make sure that patients' data is safe, secure, and whose job is it?
I think the digital world, with all of its risks, is a far more secure world than the paper world that healthcare lives in today. That's number one. And number two, you have to prevent security risks from happening. You have to obviously survey the situation and then obviously remediate it when there is a challenge. But one of the biggest things is human error. Like, you have people that just don't know what to do. And the idea of training people, we have something we call massive online computer courses, where we actually train people on how to avoid security problems in the way they do their day-to-day tasks. Considering the Internet of Everything and healthcare being such a personal endeavor, we need to invest much more in education and training than we do today, and that will help on the security side.
Michael, comment?
No, I was just going to comment. When you think about cybersecurity, you have to bifurcate it. There's what we call at rest. That's when it's resident on your computers or the cloud, wherever it is, but it's at rest. And then it's when it's moving. And those are two different security systems you have to implement and ensure you're doing it. And we've spent hundreds of millions of dollars to do it, but it's never a point in time. It's a continuous process. You can never stop being vigilant and staying on top of it and looking at the latest technology.
Jonathan, there are also implications for society. Aren't we turning into a nanny state just because we can monitor all the patients' data points real time? Does it mean that we should?
I think it's a great question, and it also goes back to the purpose of Davos, right? The multiple stakeholder thinking process. I mean, when we sought out, we had a good solution to transform the camera, but then we asked ourselves, do we go to wellness, whereas people will measure themselves, go on the cloud, et cetera? A lot of companies doing that, very profitable business. That wasn't our credo. That wasn't our sort of call to arms. We feel that we focus on your analysis because it's a prescription-only test, right? So it's the second most frequent IVD, but it is prescription protected. So we don't believe in this sort of generation of knowledge, also because then it becomes not well tagged and it actually hinders big data. So I think that's very important. The second point, also going back to cyber, I think the multiple stakeholder concept also holds here because suddenly the CIO, the Chief Information Officer of Blue Cross Blue Shield or Centene or others, becomes a strong player in terms of introducing innovation. And it is our burden as startup companies, not only to go through the FDA and the CE, but also to be able to deliver a tailored, cybersecurity solution to each and every provider. The nice thing about it, and the good news, is that these things are being standardized. And so it's no longer, let's work with 70 different standards. We're looking at 10 or 12. And if you're a startup in this domain, you'd better get your act together in cyber. No one else is going to allow for you to integrate with the medical records.
I want to tie in M&A into this. Many experts thought that 2016 was going to be another blockbuster year for the healthcare industry when it comes to M&A. It wasn't quite as big as 2015. We still saw deals of $91 billion, but it wasn't a record year. Do you guys think that in this trend of the intersection of healthcare and technology, this is where the deal making will take place? Do drug makers, hospital makers, or hospital companies or insurance companies, do they need to bulk up in this field? Michael?
Yeah, I would say one of our major thrusts is in the technology side. We have some core systems, and we're constantly buying companies and bolting them on. Some are startups, some are later stage, but it's all against the collection of data, but more importantly, the analytical side of it. And being able to interpret it, get the algorithms you need to make it useful and usable.
Jonathan, are you guys up for sale? Are you?
So we're starting to scale up. This year is going to be the year where we launch. We have a multiple sclerosis campaign where we ease the lives of multiple sclerosis patients, consuming urinalysis from right now, consuming it in the lab. Hopefully later this year, consuming it at home and making a difference. So we're just scaling up. We're more in the sort of growth capital phase right now.
And you dodged my question. Are you for sale
No.
or not? No, you're not. Okay. Would you be interested in a company like this, Healthy IO?
Our game plan is a little bit different than M&A. What we want to do is be a platform company, partner with great companies like Jonathan's, and create economic value based upon innovation, and find a way where we can both split the profits, because it's expensive to invest in the industry. So what we did is we set up a division from development all the way through to the way we interface with the patient and obviously our partners, and we went big with Startup Health. And when we think about what's already happening and what we're doing as a platform provider now in Germany, the United States, and now in Asia as well, we think this is the right strategy. So I don't expect us to do M&A, but I do expect us to do lots of co-innovation and really unleash our will on disrupting the lousy technology that's in that's in the healthcare system already. When I ask people, you know, how do you like your electronic medical record? They roll their eyes. They're like, I can't even believe I have to use this stuff. They hire 4 clerks to service 1 patient, to key stuff into a computer that nobody looks at except compliance and billing people, and the patient gets no benefit from it at all. So what I'd like to do is disrupt that totally, and totally innovate and co-innovate and do everything in our power to serve the goodness of people and patients. And if we can do that, guess who else we make happy? All the great medical professionals that work their hearts out every day to take care of the patient, that are disillusioned because so much of their productivity is sunk down the drain with lousy technology. So that's why we're in it.
Coming up, we dissect the biggest healthcare trends for 2017. Stay tuned.
I keep going back to the personalized medicine, and I think we're in the earliest days.
I think one of the big issues we're going to be facing is, you know, the death of penicillin, the death of our existing antibiotics.